I can't see anybody else here. Is anyone here? I'm going to begin. Yes. Okay. So welcome everyone to this presentation. Okay. Are you there? I can't see anybody else apart from you, Doron. Okay. Just wait for Kanika.
All right, Morin, take it away.
Right, now we can see Kanika. Thank you. So welcome everyone to this presentation on adapting circular economy strategies in the handmade sector. I'm joined today with a panel of guests, Doron from Quasi Design, Kelly from World Finds, and Kanika from Conserve. So the agenda is I will have a brief presentation on circular economy, and then they'll introduce themselves, and then we'll have a question and answer panel. And if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box rather than the chat box so we can monitor those. So welcome. So I'll just wait for the slides to.
Great. Again, I will awkwardly share my screen.
Yep.
And get your slides.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Going. Hang on. Let me just get them into present. Thank you all for your tolerance of my technical ability.
No, absolutely. You're doing a brilliant job. Thank you. Okay.
And you're all set.
Okay, so I've introduced, so I shall go straight in. All right, so what is sustainability? Sustainability is about the interdependence that exists between the environment, the economy, and society. It's about the air we breathe, the water we drink, the soil we use, and the energy we consume, wealth, poverty, and health. A sustainable business avoids depleting our natural resources and minimizes its negative impact on the environment and people. Next slide, please. So what's the problem? Since the Industrial Revolution, we've been living in a linear economy. It's an economic system which raw materials are extracted and transformed into goods and services and ultimately disposed of. It's referred to as the take, make, waste, dispose system. It is testing the physical limits of the planet. It is unsustainable and threatening our future. We are consuming resources 50% faster than can be replaced. By 2030, our demand will require almost 2 planets' worth of natural resources if our demands are to be met, and by 2050, 3 planets' worth. The Earth Overshoot Day marks the point at which consumption exceeds the capacity of nature to regenerate. And a new study by the Global Footprint Network reveals that we consume a year's worth of carbon, food, water, fiber, land and timber in a record 212 days. So that's in August, essentially, and that's the earliest record ever. This global heating is causing unprecedented extremes and a climate crisis. It's causing waste, pollution, drought, flooding, storms, etc. Sorry. Plastic pollution will double in less than 2 decades, and there'll be more plastics than fish in the oceans by 2025. Next slide, please. So here we have the climate stripes, and these have been recorded since the Industrial Revolution in the 1850s, when we started to pursue a linear economy of take, make, waste. And this shows how our climate is getting hotter. Next slide, please. So the solution is to move from a linear economy to a circular economy. The circular economy is a disruptive, innovative economic model and shuns the linear economy, and is built on the principles of designing out waste and pollution, keeping products and materials in use for as long as possible, if not permanently. So at the end of life of a product, it is kept in circulation at its highest value. And this we can do through repair, reuse, recycle, and rent. And this model promotes the triple bottom line, which is people, planet, and profit, where all are protected and maximized. Next slide, please. So the fashion industry is reported to be the third most polluting industry. So there's been a lot of work done on circular fashion. According to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, for fashion to be circular, it has to be driven by design. So eliminate waste, have a low carbon transport, extend with reuse, redesign, repair, and rental. A very simple example is if your grandma knits you a jumper, you wear it for a year and she takes it back and disassembles it and knits it into a new jumper in a different pattern. So let's look at the circular strategies of Mud Jeans. They're made from a 40% recycled content using the material from discarded jeans. Repairs are free. You can swap jeans for a new pair and continue leasing for a year, or keep the jeans and wear them as long as you like. You can return the jeans and receive a voucher for a new product. So what they're doing is they're giving flexibility for customers, a more predictable supply chain, and they're lowering their impact. Patagonia is also another excellent example of repair, recycle, and rent, and working with farmers to source regenerative cotton. Next slide, please. So how does the craft sector adopt these strategies? So the global handmade craft market is expected to reach 1,296 billion by 2028. So it's no small industry. The craft sector is already operating according to the principles of the circular economy. For example, using natural dyes, natural materials, recycling and upcycling. But what else does it need to consider? The transition into a circular economy is all about design, but not just the physical product, but design of the entire supply chain. So looking at product design and the making process, looking at production techniques that are more energy efficient, new tools to minimize waste, packaging, logistics, and how the product is being used, and what happens to the product at the end of life to close that loop. So we must design with the end of life in mind. So for example, people offering a toolkit for repair. And let's move on to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation identifying strategies. If we look at materials, for example, sorry, I've lost my thought. We can conserve materials through responsible production, reduce the materials we use and make them last as long as possible. We have to appreciate the value of the materials. Material innovation is also very important. You have things like mushroom leather, banana fiber, cactus leather. And there's also technology in mechanical fiber to fiber shredding and adding a small percentage of virgin material, which reduces the demand on natural resources. So the questions to ask is the business managing and using materials effectively? Can you do an audit to see if there are gaps? You may be asking, well, why do we want products to last forever? What about income generation? It will become cheaper to source waste and recycle materials because someone's waste is your treasure. You can create local hubs and a B2B service. For returns, to work reverse logistics, things need to be in place. Consumers of products can become suppliers by returning products to be repaired. It's obviously more challenging with export, but you do have opportunities in the domestic market to offer repair, not just of your products, but of others too. With exchange and rent, you can reduce the amount of products made and sold and therefore reduce consumption. You will earn extra revenue by providing these services. This creates an ecosystem where products remain in circulation and you close the loop. We know in reality that these are often challenging to implement, but education is key. So sellers and buyers need to educate their customers about the end of life and the appreciation of the materials. And so the production process and instill value in the production process, and so that we can respect the product. And you've heard about #handmade with love. So it's important to change our mindset. When adopting principles of circular economy, we perceive a world through a cultural lens. A country like China may avoid buying and using secondhand products if they can afford to buy new because of the perceived negative energies, especially by those who have deceased. So how do we value artisan work, talent, and knowledge, and the product beyond monetary terms? In Japan, master artisans are national living treasures. They're given the respect and recognition beyond monetary terms, and their governments actually support their livelihoods. Consumption indicates consumer demand on a commercial scale, and the desire to possess, fueling this linear economy. Whereas usage is where products are cherished and a limited amount made, but can be used by a multitude of users. And this is where you get leasing, rental, rather than outright purchases. And this can operate in a local ecosystem. Another idea is to sell an experience rather than a product. For example, providing lessons on how to make and repair. Through workshops and online videos, you can connect the maker to the consumer and tell their stories. And also they can have a product that they have made. So going back to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they've identified strategies in circular design that can be applied to craft. So rather than an entire bag be thrown away because the handle has worn out, we can design a bag so that it can be disassembled for easy replacement. The corners of a bag can be reinforced and replaced when worn. With modularity in design, this divides a product into smaller parts. So there's no glues for easy separation, so that it can be independently created, used, and repaired. It also provides more choice for the customer. For example, designing a bag with detachable handles that can be a clutch or a crossbody or turned into a backpack. Longevity is about creating products that are timeless in style while using durable materials and the ability to retain value over time, rather than design with current fashion trends. So think about function, about cultural heritage to retain its relevancy and meaning over time. And I love this quote from Yves Saint Laurent, which says, "Fashion fades, style is eternal." And I also think about handmade as the new luxury. The quality of the material contributes to the lifespan of the product. However, we must all still consider the potential weak points. So choose good quality zips, handles, reinforced corners, etc. for durability. Dematerialization is where we examine how to lessen the weight, size, and variety of materials used in the product. Because the more material you use, the greater the impact on the environment. Consider using ties, hand knots, or wooden buttons, metal or recycled plastic. Multifunctional is where we consider turning a scarf into a sarong or into a bag. Having more than one function reduces the need for more products, and it will add value for the customer. With life cycle thinking, you examine each state of production, including the supply chain, and see where there are negative impacts on the environment. And you can explore how to reduce these through design. For example, broken pieces of pottery can be reused as a mosaic decoration for other pots. So embed end of life into your design. Think about how it can be used again and transformed into something else. What about all the samples that you all make? Can you dismantle these products and rework them into new? Tech is also an enabler. For example, 3D printing is a way of reducing sampling and waste of materials, cost, and time. Next slide, please. So here we've got an example of a tray and a placemat, and when they're worn out, they can be made into a lampshade. Next slide, please. And here's an example of modularity. The black basket chair can be removed, repaired, and replaced without discarding the whole chair. Next slide, please. So the circular economy will reduce the impact on the environment, reduce waste, increase profit, reduce cost, improve the level of productivity, create value for the company, and improve the reputation of the business, and achieve the 3 Ps, which are people, planet, and profit. It's also aligned with the UN SDG Goal 12, which is responsible production and consumption. Also, there are many policies now in place, for example, the extended producer responsibility, where producers must take responsibility for the post-consumer stage of a product's life cycle. Next slide, please. It's also very, very important to measure your impact and improve your operational effectiveness and lower risk. Hard data will help you make long-term decisions for sustainable growth and the transition to a thriving, low-carbon economy. It will help you communicate effectively to your customers and back it up with evidence and avoid greenwashing. It can lead to customer loyalty and access to new markets because of the increasing demand for lower impact products. You can partner with organizations like On a Mission and B Corp to help you on this journey. Selfridge is, sorry, Stacey, just go back a minute. Selfridges have released their Project Earth report for 2023 and have reported a steep growth of 81% in circular transactions and 280% increase in sales in just 1 year. 51% of customers are aware of Reselfridges and their circular models of resale, rental, refill, repair. And you can see on the slide some of their figures. They report that it's not without challenges, and as a proportion of total transactions is still tiny, but the customer response has been phenomenal. Circular fashion is possible. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, the craft sector as a consumer of natural resources, products, and services can remain sustainable by adopting the circular economy and sustainable strategies, given we are in a climate crisis. Cultivating a sustainable future for generations requires a change in value systems and cultural perceptions. It will take time to educate customers to adopt the habits of repair, reuse, and reduce waste. But it's essential that we do so to enable people and planet to thrive. So thank you for that presentation. And now I'm going to hand over to the guests, Doron, Kelly, and Kanika, to introduce themselves, and we shall go into the questions after.
Hi all, lovely to be here. Wonderful presentation, Morin, thank you. I really enjoyed that, very informative. I learned a lot. My name is Doron. I'm the co-founder of Quasi Design. We are in Swaziland, well, Eswatini, formerly Swaziland. I co-founded it with two brothers back in about 2010, so we're over 10 years old. They had the local magazine distribution, and they wanted to make use of all their waste paper and their waste magazines, and more importantly, to create jobs and employment. So we co-founded it together. As you can see, we use 100% waste paper, waste newspaper. We also use water-based glues and anything environmentally friendly, like the color comes from pigments. We use an eco varnish. We want to be as environmentally friendly as we can. We create home decor, we create jewelry, and we are a small business. We believe that small is beautiful in the sense that we've got 14 artisans and they are employed full-time with permanent contracts. And because we're small, we're able to pay them a living wage with benefits. Like Morin was saying on her slide, the aim is to change the perception of waste so that it can be design-led. We call it, so our tagline is sustainable design for social impact. So what we do, we call sustainable design because it comes from a sustainable source. And very importantly, we make a social impact through making our products. But we also want to change the perception of waste, that it can be something very durable, something very beautiful. I loved what you said, handmade is the new luxury. And that's us, and happy to be here. Thanks.
Thanks, Doron, and thanks, Morin, as well. So hello, I'm Kelly Weinberger, the founder of World Finds. We're a design-driven brand of jewelry and accessories, and we partner with women artisan groups in India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Bali. So how we began. Way back in 1999, my partner in crime, David, and I quit our jobs, sold our condo, and left Chicago to embark on a 14-month backpack trip around the world. Hence the photo on the left there. We started in Morocco, and halfway through the trip, we just gotten to Nepal, and a fellow traveler from New Zealand casually asked me to visit a women's cooperative with her because her mom was into fair trade and she wanted to get her a gift. I had never heard of fair trade before, so I asked her a ton of questions. Please describe me what it is. And once I learned about it, I had my light bulb moment and knew immediately I had to do something in this space. The concept seemed to make so much sense, and it seemed to hold the solution to so many things. So from that moment on, I became completely obsessed, learning as much as I could about traditional handicrafts, meeting with artisan cooperatives everywhere we went, and asking tons of questions to find out what they needed most and how I could contribute in this space. The answer was always the same: work. We need more work. So I decided to figure out how to create a fair trade enterprise that would get that work to the artisans I'd met and was determined to support. Personally, I've always been passionate about jewelry and accessories. So that seemed like a great way to start. So working closely with artisan partners I met, put together a product line. And once I got back to the States, went to work on finding a market. There was a massive learning curve and no blueprints for social enterprises at the time, and really limited info online. This was the year 2000, so there wasn't a lot out there. So basically just tested products at trunk shows, knew immediately I wanted to move into wholesale. So I started calling on local retail shops to find a market for our products. Fast forward to today, it has been 100% organic growth on the business side with our retail partnerships, as we've grown from about 10 shops that carried our products that first year to close to 2,000 stores that we're in right now, mostly independent gift shops, museum stores, clothing boutiques, and some bespoke designs. Our team has grown from a small but dedicated group of myself to 8 in our office warehouse in Chicagoland, plus distributor partners in the UK and in Germany. But the most important side, of course, is the artisan side. What's happening there? So the impact is so much more meaningful. We've, over the years, have formed close relationships with a core number of groups, primarily in the New Delhi, India area, and have been able to grow our orders each year. One of our women's groups that started the same time as us had about 6 artisans to begin with, and now have grown to over 300. In total, the groups we work with have about 700 incredibly talented artisans that are involved in the creation of our collections. The look and feel of our designs have changed incredibly throughout the years, and our brand look and feel has also evolved a ton. We began by utilizing the raw materials available in the artisan communities, taking traditional techniques like maybe Zardozi or something like that, and incorporating them into modern silhouettes. And then about 12 years ago, we had a customer ask us if we could create a collection of repurposed Kantha fabric bags. We worked closely with our artisan partners, created the bags, and then this sort of exploded. And we've been taking both Kantha and sari fabrics and have grown into a brand known for our repurposed textile jewelry, repurposed textile accessories, and now gift and home goods as well. Our retail partners love the one-of-a-kind uniqueness and the sustainability aspect, as well as the colors. We've also really thought a lot about the product design and how things can be used in different ways. So a lot of our products, might be a combination of a sarong and a sari and a blanket, or things that can be used in a lot of different ways to create less of a need for many things, or if one thing could be used in a lot of different ways, like our bandanas and our scarves and things like that, that can also be used as gift wrap. And so those are a lot of the items you're seeing in the slide here. We use upcycled wood bead bases for our jewelry. Oh, can you go back? And scraps from the Kantha quilts on the side, and are pleased to have as many positive attributes as possible from women-made, women-owned, handmade, fair trade, sustainable, small batch, and of course, feel good. So we've been grateful to get to do what we've been able to do for the last 23 years, and look forward to continuing to learn, grow, and create more impact. Thank you.
Sorry, Kelly, I didn't mean to flip your slide. I was looking at it.
I want to see the Conserve slide now. That looks exciting.
Thank you, Kelly. Very inspiring stories. And I think Conserve India has a similar story. Conserve India started about 25 years ago, and I'm second generation. So that's something we have not alike. But I continue that legacy of creating handicrafts from waste and empowering livelihoods of dignity to the poorest in India and other developing countries. Conserve India aims to support sustainable development in India and other countries through creation of safe and sustainable opportunities, while driving initiatives for a circular economy to derive value from plastic and textile waste, ensuring a fair trade supply chain. Our mission works towards environmental conservation while simultaneously creating socially uplifting conditions to empower underprivileged individuals with employable opportunities while crafting sustainable and inclusive upcycled fashion and lifestyle products. We have an expertise of over 20 years in creating proprietary technologies and processes to create sustainable craft, working with waste workers and artisans across North India. In the pictures here, you see our process to convert single-use plastic bags to a vegan leather-like fabric used to create this tote bag in the last picture. We work with waste workers from the informal sector to collect and process plastic waste to a new fabric that we call handmade recycled plastic. This fabric can then be used by artisans to create fashion, footwear, stationery, home decor, and even furniture items. We also use tires, seat belts, fire hose, industrial and post-consumer textile waste in our range of upcycle and recycle products. Using these technologies and processes, we have been able to upcycle over 400 tons of plastic waste, 200 tons of textile waste, and empowering waste workers to increase their income by 150% while offering them jobs of dignity. We've built our model to disseminate the portfolio of technologies we created directly at the grassroots level and empower grassroots workers and youth in creating value from waste. We continue doing what we have been doing for the last 15 years with waste workers and artisan groups and establish them as individual decentralized micro-enterprises with a goal to become self-reliant. This comes as a challenge because sales and marketing remains a challenge for grassroots groups, and we support them with design and marketing efforts with majority sales in Europe and America to several fair trade buyers and mainstream buyers as well, coming into more eco-conscious products, and also have a brand called Lifafa. Together, we are able to co-create contemporary designs with artisanal craft using modern recycled materials and creating a positive social and environmental impact on the ground.
Great. Sorry, I had myself on mute. Thank you very much, ladies. Wonderful stories. So now we're going to move to a panel discussion with questions that we've prepared. And if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box rather than the chat box so that Stacey can see what you want to ask after. So I'm going to kick off. First question, what challenges have you faced on your circularity journey? And I'm going to start with Kanika.
Thanks, Morin. So I think working in circularity comes with many challenges, both on the supply side and the demand side. But I'll go first forward with the supply side challenges. We continue to have them over these last 15 years. While more systems are coming in place, it continues to be a challenge for us. The lack of infrastructure on the supply side is what is the most challenging aspect. The access to waste of a particular type, color, quantity is challenging to organize. And as most of the waste sector continues to be in the informal sector. So the transitory nature of people involved in the informal sector is also challenging to deal with. While new policy, private players, and physical infrastructure is being developed for the waste supply chain, we continue to try and build an ecosystem and an approach which is inclusive as well as efficient to run a business model in circularity.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, Kelly.
Hey, thanks, Morin. So there have been a ton of challenges on our journey, but one of the most frustrating and annoying one has been packaging. So we really hate poly bags. And we started asking about eco alternatives to poly bags way back in the early 2000s. And it's taken years to come up with a solution to this. So sadly, poly bags or their eco alternatives are important for a number of reasons in transporting the products from, say, India to Chicago. They prevent mold, they keep out moisture, they keep out dirt, heaven forbid, they keep out unwanted critters. And they also help prevent oxidation on our metal styles as they wouldn't be exposed to moisture. So sadly, they're a necessary evil. And then once they get to our warehouse, we have to store them for an amount of time before we sell them. Once our retail partners get them, they like to have them in a sealed package as well, because they're not always sending them out, putting them out on the show floor right away. And then certain larger customers have a lot of, requirements that you have to have certain sizes of poly bags to meet their, their specs for their own warehouse and things like that. So sadly, it's been a problem we've had to deal with. And the challenge has been either there was just nothing available, or the MOQs from a brand were so big we couldn't, we're not in a place to make 1 billion poly bags. So that knocked us out of the park as far as being a buyer for some of these companies. or sample eco bags that we get in would disintegrate really quickly. And so that wouldn't really solve it either. So it's been this whole thing that seems like it should be easily solvable, but sadly has not been. So one of our artisan partners, a WFTO member in New Delhi, was able to find a source finally that, we thought solved it. They're compostable and biodegradable. The first few batches have come in, they've ripped at the seams, product's been coming out, so it hasn't quite solved it yet. The manufacturer ensures us the next batch is coming in a little bit better. So we're very hopeful that this is finally going to solve it. We're also looking at options like hydropol, the dissolvable bags and things like that. If anyone does have a source, throw it in the chat, but that for sure has been like one of our biggest challenges on our circularity journey.
Okay. Doron?
Hi, I think we've all had the same challenges, so I'm not going to repeat. Packaging, we are totally plastic free. We actually just use old clothes and we make our own bags from fabric, and we just ship all our jewelry in little fabric pouches. But maybe that won't work for you. Yeah.
And that doesn't cause any mold or anything? Do you put the silicone sachets in?
It doesn't for us, no. But maybe our orders are smaller than yours, Kelly. And for some warehouses, we recently did do an order for a big museum, and they required those bags. But it's very rare for a customer of ours to say that we want them in plastic. They're quite happy to have it in the fabric pouches. Okay. Just to add on to the challenges then very briefly, because I know also time is an issue. I was going to say the role of design can be really, really important in this. And I think that we've talked about this, even Kathleen's, earlier on in the slide, they were saying how important it is to have like the creative thinking. And actually, I think if we kind of view challenges as an opportunity, I feel like the designer has this amazing role to then come in and use those challenges to something positive. So, for example, we have challenge with shipping. So if we make very big products, because we use paper, it's very light. So they would charge us volume, which is really expensive to ship. So then we've decided, to just go much smaller. And then to also put, design like 3, so you can nest one inside the other. So if you ship lights, for example, they can all sit into each other. Yeah. Or like the materials to add locally readily available waste. We've all had issues of raw materials. So as a designer, you think, oh, what else is available that I can then add to my product?
Absolutely. Thank you. So part of being in a circular economy is collaborating with others and creating an ecosystem. Have you got examples of this you can share with us? And Kelly? And please, we have to keep it brief now. Time is going.
Yeah, absolutely. So a quick part 2 to my previous story. Our artisan partners have not only shared their source for the biodegradable compostable bags with other buyers, but also with their competitive artisan groups in the New Delhi area. So that was a great sort of initiative to put, collaborative and plan it before, like individual, businesses. Also, in addition, we are super collaborative with our Fair Trade Federation friends in the States, as well as our local Chicago Fair Trade community. We're always sharing best practices, marketing, looking at each other's financials, helping each other out. I love our community. And that's sort of kept us all going to where we are today. So, yeah.
Excellent. Doron?
To be quick, Swaziland actually created one of the first fair trade country networks. In fact, a lot of people on this Trade and Impact were part of this. There's Daniela and Kathleen, and actually the handcraft sector got together, the companies got together and founded their own NGO. And it was called SWIFT, which is Swaziland Fair Trade. And they even got funding from Comic Relief to do lots of projects, including training for artisan businesses, sharing best skills. And one of the most incredible things was that people realized that you don't need competition. Your sales are not going to drop. Actually, if you work together, you're all going to increase sales. So in the country, we also have like retail outlets where we have a retail shop, but it belongs to another craft company, and they built shops and they rent it out to other craft companies. So as a tourist, if you want to come and see craft, that there's going to be a central hub where you can see lots of different craft. And so instead of kind of having this isolated, everyone doing their own thing, everyone's working together. Swaziland, we attend trade shows together because there's about, there's about 10, I think, export ready businesses, and that we've all kind of exhibited together. We even do buyer tours. So we all get together and we invite buyers to come all the way to Swaziland. So it's a really good example that collaboration over competition.
Absolutely. Kanika.
We recently had a very exciting collaboration with the Municipal Council, the City Council of Baramulla in Kashmir, the Indian Army and HDFC Bank to co-create a project to develop a plastic and textile waste recycling unit in Kashmir. It works as a micro-enterprise providing economic opportunity to waste workers and youth in Kashmir to create handicrafts from waste. Each stakeholder is involved in this collaboration has an integral role to play between access to waste, access to workers, access to funding, and Conserve as the implementing and knowledge partner. The project has seen a lot of success and is able to utilize 2,000 kgs of waste per month to create fashion and home products while launching their own mini brand called Posh Bags.
Very nice. Thank you. Okay. Given we're now in a climate crisis, have you had to make any changes to how you operate? And that to Doron.
Thanks, Morin. Yeah, I think we've been in the climate crisis for a long time, but all of a sudden it's in the news, isn't it?
Yeah.
For our production, we've always kind of wanted to be environmentally friendly as much as possible. So that's the reason being we don't use any toxins, and we don't want to add anything to the paper that would then be unenvironmentally friendly. You know, you could add resin, or you could add lots of other toxins, and we don't. But our really big goal this year is to build our own workshop. And I think if production can, the great thing about smaller production and handcraft is a lot of the time it's not, it doesn't have a negative impact on the environment, but we'd like to take that even further and try and go off grid. So we're building this kind of, as part of our process is that all our paper is dried in the sun, which is great until you have a grey day or it's raining. And then, your customers are waiting for their order, but you're like, I'm really sorry, it's raining, which doesn't work very well. So we have plans to do, it's called a passive heated workshop, which basically uses the sun. So you also have solar power, but it actually uses the sun and it traps it in like a glass room. So then you can use the thermal mass of the sun and the heat to then dry our products. And this would be incredible. We don't have to use any heaters. South Africa suffers from load shedding. I'm sure Swaziland will very soon as well. And electricity is becoming very expensive. So if we can not rely on having to buy power, this would be incredible. And yeah, let's hope we can make it happen this year.
Amazing, amazing. Kelly?
I love that. That's brilliant. Yeah, so we've always tried to be thoughtful and consider the 360-degree impact of any decisions that we make around the business. So in recent years, we've been able to switch and do more sea freight shipments just because that's, definitely, a better way to go. Luckily, our jewelry and accessories are pretty light. So we do some air cargo with that, but then our larger items, our larger accessories, we've been doing more sea freight shipments. We definitely travel less, just with more people on Zoom and able to, do some things this way. We've been able to eliminate some travel, but relationships, we do love seeing people in person. And so we do attend some trade shows. And then of course we have to visit our artisan partners in India and other places. And so in the cases where we do have to do that, we do carbon offsets to try to make up for those journeys. Also, we have a line of cause bracelets that donate to nonprofits, and we do a lot in the sector where we donate to like the Ocean Conservancy, National Forest Foundation, Coral Reef Alliance, Trees for the Future, things like that, to really try to support those organizations that are trying to help us. And then both our artisan partners are masters at using everything recycled, a lot of solar powered things, and we both use recycled boxes, recycled packaging as much as we can. So we keep trying to improve things.
Brilliant.
Yes, with Conserve, our environmental impact on production and sourcing has always been on the forefront. Packaging has been an issue, like Kelly mentioned earlier. While we've been able to minimize the plastic we use, we've not been able to eliminate it. We've not had to make any major changes on how we operate to reduce our environmental impact, but we are always on the lookout for new products, processes, or services that can help reduce our current impact, and a growing focus on becoming more energy efficient and friendlier end-of-life processes.
Amazing, amazing. You guys just doing such a great job. So next question is, how are you dealing with the end of life of a product to close the loop? And we've all probably talked about it, but just, can you give us a quick example? Kanika.
Sure. As you'd spoken earlier in your presentation, Morin, end of life has to be incorporated from the design process. While all our products are repairable and recyclable, we have been shifting our focus in designing with more eco-design principles in place for circularity, for easy dismantling, as well as we're innovating to create hardware like buckles and buttons from recycled plastic waste. Collection of end-of-life products remains a bigger challenge. For our domestic localized sales, products can be dropped back off for repair, reuse, or recycling depending on the condition of the product. We're also trying to deploy more eco-design principles to achieve that circularity when we have those end-of-life products back in our workshop. While most of our products are shipped to Europe and America, the collection becomes a bigger challenge. We are discussing with our buyers how a reverse logistics loop can be set up for our international buyers, and how those products can be locally used for repair, resale, or recycling.
And have they taken that on board? Are they interested?
Yes, there's definitely interest, and but it is still economic and viability to understand if it would work for the business.
Yeah, exactly. Over to you, Kelly, quickly.
Yeah, so most of the materials we use in our products are will naturally biodegrade over time, like cotton used from the Kansari fabrics and wood. Other items that we use are mostly metals and glass that can theoretically be melted down or repurposed into other things. Lots of items like our bags and scarves can be reused or made into something else. And we've ended up implementing a take-back program until we can convert all those blasted poly bags into biodegradable, compostable. We've done a take-back program where we'll have our retailers send us back the bags, and we will, recycle them through a partnership with TerraCycle. So that is sort of a stopgap Band-Aid until we can get this finally solved.
Yeah, brilliant. Doron?
It's great to know, Kelly, about the plastic. We've managed to eliminate plastic, and so we managed to wrap, because we have a lot of waste paper, we even use the paper as packaging. We do buy boxes. Sometimes we use recycled boxes, but I think for us, obviously, we all probably want people to use our products as much as possible. Don't just wear it once, wear it for however much you can, for however long you can. Obviously, we want that with clothes, with jewelry, with anything. And we do repairs locally. It's a bit harder, like everyone else said, when you're based in Africa and your customers are all around the world. But we do sell online, and we do say that if you would like to ship it back to us, we'd be happy to repair. Fortunately, not much is broken, so that's quite good. And people do say that they wear it quite a lot. I think the main thing we would like to say is that the paper products are biodegradable. So actually, at the end of its life, once you've used your lampshade for however, hopefully a very, very long time, and you don't want it anymore, it actually can go back into the earth. So it's quite a nice cycle of, paper coming from tree to be recycled. And because we haven't added anything toxic to it, you can put it back in the earth. Yeah.
Have any of you, like you said about the repair, Doron, what if, because it's jewelry and it's simple parts, have you ever had to get on to a customer and show them how to repair something that is possible for them to repair?
That's a good question. I did recently for the first time, and then she said, no, I'd rather you did it. And then she posted it back to me and then I repaired it. Okay. That's really good. I think people are interested in that and they would like to. I think you just have to enable them to have, the tools and how to do it. Yeah. So that could be quite interesting. And I guess that's a whole focus. You could do that with videos. You could do that because it could be very simple, but I don't know if people have the technical know-how. Kelly?
Yeah. Okay. Have you all answered? I got lost there. Have we all answered that question? Brilliant. Okay, we're on the last one. What impact is your business making socially and environmentally in a circular economy? And I know you've wrapped it up in your slides, but just very quickly, if you can let us know what impact you now have in particular in a circular economy. And that is to Kelly.
Yeah, so we've always been a fair trade organization first. So that part of our ethos has been with us for our entire journey. But then our environmental impact, has grown, especially over the last 12 years. So as far as quantifying our impact in artisan communities, our very first PO was with a small family group of artisans way back in 1999 for $500. And at last count, I think we've grown to getting about $6 million in purchase orders directly into artisan communities over the last 2 decades. We've also created additional impact with projects for World Fair Trade Day or Fair Trade Month, getting additional support, say, to start a sewing center or to get, recycled containers to, artisan groups, whatever they're asking us for. We've done a girls' education fund, and our cause bracelets donate a percentage to organizations close to our heart, both locally and globally. And we've just reached over about $100,000 in donations so far because of that program. The environmental impact started out way slower, but it's improved a lot over the years. So basically, we're now, primarily using upcycled materials in our products. We've always had some eco materials, but one of our very, very first collections from one of our accessory artisan partners was using upcycled pieces of wedding saris, but they were on a nylon bag because at the time we couldn't find a material that looked sellable and desirable that was an eco material. So we went with that just to get work to the groups until we could improve. And so that's sort of been our methodology is to, just keep trying to do better, but don't sacrifice getting work to the groups because they can't wait. They need work now. And so get the orders going and then keep trying to improve things as we go. We've had some glass jewelry since the beginning. Now it's more recycled glass jewelry, things like that. So over the years, our collection and brand have very thoughtfully, consciously improved and changed to where we are now, really using mostly upcycled scrap materials, things that are already in existence. And we hope to continue to learn and grow and improve as we continue.
Great. Kanika?
For us, both the social and environmental impact, it went side by side. Our work has focused on both these core values, helping us achieve an environmental impact of upcycling over 600 tons of plastic and textile waste cumulatively and avoiding emissions of at least 20,000 tons of CO2 while empowering over 8,000 workers and building their capacity to use waste as a resource, which is able to increase the income of waste workers, especially the lowest strata of Indian society, by 150%. And contributing to the green economy with products that have a value addition of over 3,000%. Beyond this, we continue to spread awareness on social and environmental issues in rural and semi-urban areas to build an intangible but very important impact on building cumulative consciousness.
Amazing. Doron?
Fantastic. Great. I really like to hear those numbers, those figures. I don't have figures of how many magazines I've repurposed or how many newspapers. It would be a lot. I wish I knew. I should start counting them. I think, like everyone else, environmental, social comes hand in hand for us. It's why we started. We started to recycle, but more importantly, we started to create jobs. And we've been working, our growth is very different because we decided to be small. And more higher end in that sense of our growth. What we're trying to say is that we've got the same community of women since we started, and I think the community that we've created for these women is very important in their daily lives, from health, from helping each other financially, helping each other. They have really created like this core community that they can then rely on. So that's kind of, our social impact. And hopefully that, by enabling them to send their children to school, because, school, it's in Swaziland, school's still not free. You've got to pay for school fees. And I think all of them, they've built houses, they've managed to buy cars through this work. So they've really managed to have a better life. So hopefully there's like a ripple effect from the community that we've created to their families and onwards to the other community.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, it's a whole community in Swaziland, which is amazing. So I just want to thank you all very much. Wonderful stories for being part of this panel. And I hope everyone that's attended can take away some great knowledge that they've shared with us. And if there are any questions in the question box, Stacey, please share for them to answer.
I am so inspired by all of you and watching your journeys through all these years. What you're doing is amazing. And the world is just catching up to you all who have been the leaders in this, both fair trade and circular economy. So we've got a few questions and some comments for Quasi Designs. How to ensure that when you process magazines, you do not create a polluted effluent. You don't further pollute. Magazine ink can be very toxic when dissolved in water. By the way, I have some of your products and I love them. Thanks.
Thanks, Stacey. Nice to see you. Good question. So we also, as part of our production, we obviously have the use of water. So we make sure that whatever we design different techniques for different magazines and for different newspapers, depending on what we use. So for a lot of the magazines, we actually just layer it with glue to create a paper wood, which then means your waste is very different. With the newspaper, you might have water waste from creating like a pulp, which then we make sure is disposed of wisely. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, fantastic.
But I also think that nowadays magazines and newspapers are less, I think many years ago they used to use a lot of lead in the ink, and obviously that's not allowed anymore. And I think that the whole industry is getting much better.
Awesome. That was from Eleanor. Thank you, Eleanor. Alejandro asks to everyone, which are your main commercial channels? Have you worked on Amazon? And if so, how's your experience been?
Sure. Should I take that first? Okay, yes, sir. So our main commercial channels remain to be wholesale, B2B sales. And we're recently getting into corporate gifting. We also have a small brand called Lifafa. We're trying to sell direct to consumer, although we're still learning how to do that. With Amazon, we were part of this program launched by Amazon India called Amazon Saheli, which was basically for women entrepreneurs to promote the craft that they're making. And so while there was a lot of support from Amazon on helping us on board and getting us listed, we still found it extremely challenging because of the low pricing, the need for continuous advertisements, as well as the returns. So that hasn't been a very viable option for us at this point, but we are happy to try it again.
So we, as far as how to sell, we sell through we have a retail site, a wholesale site, trade shows, sales teams, things like that. We are not on any platforms like Amazon. We primarily work with independent retail stores. And so that would sort of go against some things. So we've tried to remain working and partnering with independents, museum shops, gift shops, smaller boutiques, things like that.
Yeah, I would say same as Kelly.
Awesome. Thank you. Lots of really great comments here. Very interesting, inspiring session. It deeply resonated with me. People would love to know how to get in touch with you all. If you want to put your emails in the chat for everyone to know, these sessions are being recorded and you can, for the next month, come back to the lobby and actually replay any of them. So if you missed the other one to be here, you're able to go back and rewatch. There was a question, and I'll direct this to you, Kelly, when talking about the poly bags. Could you just quickly repeat that possible eco option that we're all hungry to know about?
Yeah, so I can, and I don't even have it with me right now. So there is, they did find a source in, I think, the New Delhi area that is producing the compostable bags. It's really hard for me to like 100% recommend them because they're still kind of coming apart, but we're hopeful that the next batch will have solved it. So definitely, I put my email in the chat. It's just kelly@worldfinds.com. Send me an email, and as soon as we get that source, we'll let you know. The other source that we are investigating and that we're thrilled to learn more of is that it's called Hydropol. And it's basically a dissolvable, so basically dissolves in hot water. And I think it's a British company that started it. And there's over the place, and we're waiting for them to get their manufacturing moved to India. So then there's less of a transport impact on that to get it from, say, China or Singapore to India. So we're eagerly following that and hoping to incorporate that in future batches. So
yeah. It's definitely a British one, and Finisterre, the brand, are using that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and there's another one I think called Eco Garment Bags. I think the founder's name is Rebecca. So yeah, so we're excited about the future for this.
Fantastic. And if anyone has other leads on eco-friendly packaging, anything that you personally do in your brand, please share it in the overall chat of the event. I know everyone is looking and hungry for sharing those resources that solve these kinds of problems. I'll answer Jane's question for you, Kelly, which is your brand. World Finds. World Finds is Kelly's brand. And so look her up. Please keep connecting on this. I thank you all for being a part of this session, for joining to watch, and join us in the next for some inspiration quickfire.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you to our speakers.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacey, Morin, for organizing this.
Morin, everyone.